Okay. All right, welcome everyone back to another meeting for policy group for countywide ambulance. You have your items to add into our books in front of you. I can throw those in. We're kind of hoping this is the last meeting for this group, at least for a while. We'll get right into it, and I'll turn it over to Sean.
All right, the option now, or the probable action item, I guess, is gonna be somewhat different from the last time that we were here when we were talking about complete consolidation of services over basically what the 2-year period was. We talked about back office in 26, and then staff in 27. The financial side of the house, I guess, the impact that we tried to estimate, and it was an estimate, on that $12 to $15 million total cost at total mobilization, and also with total required employment for EMTs and paramedics. It's just taking on $12 to $15 million on the county budget is now just deemed, it's just not doable in one setting, one fiscal year, if you will. So we go back to the Fitch report and some of the options that were there. And now what we're gonna propose is a mechanism where the county will support the individual towns from a budgetary standpoint to try to relieve some of the budget crisis that the towns are experiencing, and roll that out on an annual basis with review, but also trying to address some of the things that we all know are plaguing the system, and also what the items out of the Fitch report recommended. I don't have a specific dollar amount, but I have some abstract numbers that I'll share with you. If we give each town, and this of course excludes Halcott because of their uniqueness, a support mechanism, a dollar amount to the town budget per year, which then you use either for your operation or for your contract with your agency, your town. We also would want to put a contingency on that, that we would begin to do collective things like joint purchasing or countywide purchasing, which is some of the low-hanging fruit on the efficiency factor, that rather than 8 agencies doing their own purchasing, there's a single agency doing purchasing for everybody, as well as standardization of equipment, be it vehicle or medical equipment, standardization of training, and all of those things that we all do differently now, but I think everybody acknowledges that there should be some uniformity and conformity in those practices. And then we'll review it again. This may delay consolidation, or this may become the final verdict as to what the system will be. My proposal, and this is right now somewhat abstract, but just follow me. If we gave each town the money directly, you would use that then to defray your individual costs at your town level. If there's 13 towns, because remember, I'm going to exclude Halcott for the moment, $100,000 annual donation from the county to the town would be obviously $1.3 million that the county would absorb. In addition, we would absorb what is known as the town contribution to the Flycar Greene EMS program, which is around 400, 450 in that range, that changes on an annual basis. So that takes me up to 1.7, 1.8. And then the county would hire an individual, title to be determined, who would then work with the individual agencies on those projects, purchasing, standardization, training, etc. And over time also work on wage parity, meaning that we're not going to get there day one. So we're going to go for the low hanging fruit first. I think purchasing being the easy one. and then roll that out and determine how that works. Do we adjust it in year 2? Do we adjust it in year 3? Is there more consolidation that can happen? Is there more common expenses that can be absorbed? And the county would be willing to absorb whatever that fee transfer is. We would absorb it within our budget. And that is an alternative to this big budget impact. Where I mentioned earlier that, you know, on an estimate, we gauged anywhere from 12 to 15 million. And it would have been a very large increase to the county budget, probably in the 20% rate, on an annual basis, albeit from a taxpayer position reduced because town budget would correspondingly go down. But because we're talking about increasing the workforce and increasing the wage and benefit factors, there's a compounding impact on that as well, so that our county budget would go up. And the belief that that's just too much for us to handle in a single year. Can it handle over X number of years? I think that's something that we're gonna have to wait and see. So this is a little bit different approach, but the board, I think, I'm not gonna speak for the board, but they thought long and hard on it. And it may not be what we've been talking about for the last few months, but it is an action item. You're all about ready to adopt the budgets. I think within the next 2 weeks, we can hammer out what that actual dollar amount will be to you. I would say that, I think, Mark, do you distribute what the individual amounts are to the towns for your portion of the fly car system?
Getting ready to.
Okay, so whatever you know that is from this year, you could begin to make that cut from your budget. And then we'll talk about the direct county contribution. Again, I used $100,000 arbitrarily, it's easy math. And it tallied up to about a $2 million increase to my budget, in addition to everything else that the county is facing, federal cuts, state cuts, etc. But it's a number that I felt was reasonable year 1 anyways. So at that point, I guess I'll turn it back to the floor for questions or comments. John?
Just really quick, would this be more so, because like Greene EMS has the set already, what their town costs contributions would be? Would this be more of a, each town would put in an application with a plan of what they would need the money for? So it may be a variable amount, like the town of Catskill may need so much for this, and the town of Prattsville may be.
Yeah, well, all of your expense levels are all different. That's why I'm using this arbitrary number of 100. You know, someone's programmed in total maybe 900,000. You're gonna have $100,000 reduction, where I think somebody in a fairly small, they may cover the whole thing. So I wrestled with formula.
Yes.
If you think about it from call volume, that's even gonna be perhaps more extreme in terms of the number of cases per year, by whatever community you're in.
Which is how Greene EMS does it now. They base off the previous year's call volume.
Okay, or, I mean, you could do it on assessed valuation, there's a number of ways to do it. Every one of them, except a definitive amount, is a different answer, and some win, some lose, depending upon which formula you pick.
Nobody loses on the hand.
Well, whereas,
If you give everybody the same amount of money,
Nobody's-
whereas
and
everybody,
everybody doesn't have the same.
Right,
amount,
I
it's
can't-
versus equity.
I can't say, you know, Bob's getting more money than Sarah, or something like that. That's why while the amount is variable, the notion of everybody gets the same amount, like we did with our ARPA money. We didn't divide the ARPA money out by population or anything else, we just gave every town the same dollar amount. How you used it, in that case, was individual. In this case, it's specific to the operation of your ambulatory system in your town.
Where some people have none and other people have a millstone.
All 14 are different.
We'll say people, say towns.
If I recall, this all started with the mountaintop supervisors coming and saying, we can't sustain this anymore, we don't wanna do this, we don't wanna be in the business of ambulance service. And it's been a long year, I think a productive year, I think thought we went through all the potential options, good and bad. To get to what I thought at the last meeting was a general agreement that the best route to go was to do consolidation. How to get there was still in question, understood, but a consolidation and a county level run department. I don't think throwing money at the towns is gonna do it, it's not gonna solve the problem, so,
Well, this might be a backdoor way in. The more money they give you, the less you have to put up. Next thing you know, the county has the system,
I don't.
just like that.
No, Mark, I would agree with you that we spent a lot of time and effort evaluating consolidation. I think all of us are in a budget cycle right now. I mean, I started back in April. All of us execute a budget while we audit a budget, while we plan a budget. I also do outward projections in a 3-year window as to what not only what my 26 budget is gonna be, but 27, 28, and as best I can do is 29. After that, my crystal ball isn't worth a damn. And the impact to the county of, 12 to 15 million dollars after having 0 tax levy increases for the last 5 or 6 years began to give me, me and palpitations, I guess. It's a big increase. And I don't know if the citizenry have they been following these meetings? Did they understand the impact? When I also piled on with the possible cuts that the feds are about to do, what the state is gonna do, the state's running, how many, Kevin, 30? Over $30 billion deficit. I know the state's gonna flush the toilet, and some of that's gonna come my way. And while it's difficult for me to project what that is, that's another burden that I had to lay on the budget that I had to then outline with my legislature. And it became an oh my God decision. And it was tough. It was very difficult. I note your point. At the end of the day, the base problem we have here is staff. We're continually not having enough staff. The county is also will continue to fund the EMT training program, and we've just launched a paramedic program as well. That's an additional $400-some thousand that the county will commit to try to grow our own internally. Is it gonna happen overnight? No, it's not. But I do have a candidate. I do have somebody who's contacted us for the paramedic program who is in Cobblestone. John?
Also, like, I get the funding to be kind of a Band-Aid in the questionable times and everything like that. That could be a responsible way until we figure out what is gonna trickle down from the state and everything. But should we also think in the future, because one of the other concerns is what happens the day that agency X decides I'm out? Even with extra funding or not, should we be looking at a small scale county agency to supplement the system that we have now? Because that seemed to be a lot of the administrators' concerns way back in the initial meetings, is we could deal with having another ambulance or 2 on during peak times, event medicine, public relations type stuff, help with the trainings. Do we try to shoot for something like that around 27 so that the base is there in the event that people start dropping out 2 years down the road? You already have the framework there, and now you just add on to it.
Having like other agencies absorbing agencies that don't want to participate.
It's saying that the county says, okay, well, everybody wants another ambulance or 2 on. Does the county provide that as a supplement to the service
Well,
that we have
it's
now?
similar to what we did with the fly car. We added another fly, how many, 3 years ago? We added 5 years ago? What
Yeah,
we, the math was 4 or 5 cars wasn't enough. There was just the calls for service, so we evaluated it. The county agreed to fund the additional, 5th car that appears to have now at least stabilized.
But should we be considering that still, not just deadhead the progression of
I
some
think,
sort
I
of
think everything's still up,
consolidation,
I think everything's still on the table. All of these are good ideas, I think they always were, I think they always will be. Where does that start when you don't have staff now? I mean, that's gonna be something, it may be able to happen in 27, I don't think it can happen in 26, just because you don't have the staff now. But that's part of what we're working toward with the EMT class, paying for the EMT classes and paying for paramedic classes.
how is the staffing level? I know there's some administrators in here today, but how is the staffing level now versus 18 months ago when we were borderline crisis and everybody came to the county? Like, are we,
My housing.
Jim,
yours better?
mutual aid calls for ambulances up or down? Just depends on a day, roughly the same.
I can tell you that the town of Hunter is fully staffed right now. We have 3 people going to the EMT program, and the mutual aid calls for off the mountain are at least 1 to 2 times per week.
But as far as staffing, like, are all the agencies still having the same struggle they did a year and a half ago?
I can only speak for us, we're putting on the 5th and 6th full-timers this coming year. And that seems to be a good draw.
How you doing?
We're okay, but I mean, it's the same scenario. I mean, we have a full schedule, a full roster, but once somebody gets hurt, somebody gets sick, I mean, we're in the same boat we've been in. I don't know, we're.
Status quo.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
My only question is, how are we gonna decide
I guess we.
who the people that are going into the extra training that the county's paying for, where are those paramedics gonna go?
Where do they get assigned to what agency?
Yeah. Because now the county's paying for it, are they gonna be free to choose whomever, or?
Well, I think they're all still doing their own hiring. Do they go where the benefits are? Do they go?
As long as they stay in the county.
As long as they stay in the county.
With a contract they have to sign is with the county.
My point being, if
You
10.
know, I know your point.
If 10 people sign up for it, they all wanna go. to
Right,
town.
so if the most recent graduate, comes out of Cobleskill, whatever I finished. And we say, well, town number 7 is the least staffed agency. So we're gonna ask you to go to 7. Well, I don't wanna go to 7. I don't live near 7. Daryl, your point is, I don't have an answer.
I know.
And I don't think that this hits any of our root causes. I don't think it hits on too many of them at all, at least off the bat. I think it follows what the state has done with education. We're spending $36,000 per pupil on education, and nobody has a better education system. And I think this hits the same thing, as we roll out. I think we're gonna be back to revisit this, but what I would like, because we just can't get the support right now to take this on at once.
Be pushing this program, like where are we putting it out there that Greene County has this program, that this is what we are going to do for them? Where are we advertising this? Who knows about it?
I think the industry knows about it. I mean, I haven't placed an ad in the paper, but I
Like,
think.
do guidance counselors in schools know about it? So they can push it.
2 months ago, when Mike Wheeler brought this up, and he said, we gotta do this right now. At that time, I was under the impression that this was gonna go forward and this was gonna be the starting point of the countywide. I mean, I would have never voted for it if I knew this was gonna collapse in 3 days.
Well, I'm talking about the push-up that we're doing.
No,
Where are we telling guidance counselors, hey, you know, we have this program available, because it's not gonna offer it and they will come. People have to know about it. Or is anybody pushing this program? Or are we just, is it out there, just hopefully somebody hears about it and does it?
well,
Because
it's,
that's not gonna work.
Already. It went out to, didn't it go out to Cobleskill and Columbia Green, and we put it out
So now-
hopefully all over.
talking about the students
Yeah,
that are
I-
going to enter this program. Where are we telling people this program is available?
It's not in the school yet, and to be honest with you, we haven't even finished the contract yet.
I think we
for
gotta
pe-
get
for
that
people to
going
sign.
immediately, because how are we gonna grow our own if our own don't know we're doing it?
Yeah, but where are they gonna go?
Then where are they gonna go?
How are you gonna grow, you gotta decide how you're gonna get these people out into the workforce. You can't have 5 people go and get a thing, go to one ambulance. They gotta be distributed amongst the county.
Well, I don't think you can make somebody relocate.
No.
I mean, if they live in Catskill, you can't tell them that they have to work in Hunter. I mean, I think the thing was they have to work within Greene County.
Yep.
You can't make somebody relocate for this, I don't think.
Well, that's why it only works with a countywide system, because if you're.
I disagree. But we can agree to disagree, right?
I think you need to, none of the stuff that is listed there that you wanna do is gonna happen without having somebody hired to do. You hire somebody, you get them, either them or somebody, and you get them into the schools for the career days. You get them riding as volunteers, and the agencies that will let volunteers ride. That's how you start attracting them to get into the EMT class. I'll make another suggestion. Hire a director, bring Greene MSN in 2026. And also utilize the EMTs that you are training and put a couple county ambulances on the road in 2026 to help alleviate the system, make them float ambulances. They have no particular territory, they go wherever the action is that day.
Well, my abstract proposal, in addition to the financial contribution, did include the county hiring, pick a title. And that person, I guess, could be the person that does do the promotion. But also works with the agencies. And as I said, the first thing to do is procurement. Get a standardized purchasing system, followed by a standardized invoicing contract or a software program. All the things that, the easy things, quote unquote, that Fitch recommended. Before we go to complete consolidation. The number, the gigantic increase the county budget was facing was just deemed, you couldn't do it in 1 year. I can't add $15 million in a single year.
And we still don't have a signature from the governor on the legislation that would allow us to take it out of the tax cap. For the cost of the EMS.
I feel like I have to think about the financial aspect of things, and believe me, I appreciate that the county is offering it. I'll be perfectly honest, I'm super disappointed that I feel like I've wasted a year of my life, for this. And I also, when we talk about, like, I agree with what Sean said, right? I still think that there should be an effort made to move the ball down the field. When we talk about the $100,000, I understand that's fair to the county. But I don't think that that is fair to the towns that have all sort of been doing this. There are certain towns that is gonna be, far more than what they're paying in contract to another town. There is going to be towns like myself where that is a fraction of what I'm paying each year to run the ambulance and to do our part for the rest of the county. When I talk about mutual aid and the amount of mutual aid that pulls us primarily off the mountain, away from my own people. I think that the compensation level for us and for other towns that are doing the same thing should be at a higher level than somebody that has never had this problem. And they are literally just paying a check every year to somebody else to cover them.
The concept of backup and, mutual aid, we thought about, or I thought about as well, so that if you gotta go someplace else because that town isn't staffed properly, are you gonna invoice them for that call?
Yeah, I mean, currently, we have not. Currently, we have not, but, that could change. Because I feel like there's people, and they may not be in this room right now, that have led to where we are today. That are basically now, incentivized to continue doing what they're doing, which is not fixing the problem.
False pretenses.
Yeah, I'm under no illusion that this option doesn't address the root problems that we identified 18 months ago. I agree with you.
But at least it's a step, we're moving forward.
We can use it as a stepping stone.
It's
We
not
absolutely
ideal,
can.
but it's-
Yeah.
Well,
And,
you are
and let
gonna,
me also just say, Sean and Pat, like, I'm not disappointed with you guys. You guys have led this.
I am,
charge.
so.
You guys have led the charge and, you
Okay.
know, put this all together, and I appreciate all the effort and everything. You know, and listen, I'm not gonna go where I think the blame should lie. But I'm disappointed. Because I think a lot of people worked really hard for a long period of time. There's other people that showed up here month after month and basically I feel like it's dead in the water.
I think that person that we hire can move this.
I was gonna say,
Thank you.
you're hiring somebody to take care of some of this stuff.
Steve?
Start to go.
Currently, Columbia County has a CCMS system. That's something the county's open to doing. It's a $2.5 million project, but it behooves the agencies to move for mutual aid. The question that constantly comes up is, I'm just gonna pick two agencies out of the hat. Greenville, have wear and tear on my ambulance when I have to go to Coxsackie, who's gonna pay for my fuel, who's gonna pay for my tires, what if I hit a deer? The way Columbia County models it is Greenville gets dispatched, it's standby for Coxsackie, it's $120. That takes care of their wear and tear, their fuel potentially, and then if you get a call in Coxsackie, you bill for the call. So there's incentive to move your ambulance, recoup the cost of moving, you bill your patient. Problem is, it becomes the county level, because if you don't put it at the county level, then it becomes a good old boy bag of tricks, and I don't wanna move, and I don't wanna do this one, and
Sure.
well, I shouldn't have to move my ambulance to that town because they don't staff. I mean, you're watching it in real time. So you have to take it out of the agency hands, or else you don't have standardization of who's gonna move when and where. Currently, it's a disaster, but if we don't standardize it, it'll just get worse. I mean, it's just an option. If Greene County ever wanted to model a system after that, the reality is there's probably upwards of 10 or 15 of us that work in the CC system. It's not that hard of a concept to sit down and do, but it does come at a cost to the county. I think currently in Columbia County, it's a $2.5 million system. The county bills for those CC calls, they recoup the money from the call, and then they disperse that out to the agency.
Steve, is that a better option? And it's just not one I'm familiar with. Is it a better option than the county figuring out a formula to give money to towns? Instead, you're actually giving money to the transporting agencies that are spending the money on the ambulances and the calls and the deer that got hit.
It's hard to say. I mean, it would alleviate the idea of, everybody has to enter into contracts with each other, because what if I do a call for you? I have to bill you. Greenville have to bill Coxsackie, we'll keep using the same towns. It eliminates that. But all the agencies have to be equal players and understand that, yes, you might show up to work at Greenville, but you might do a call in Catskill. And while that's hard to hear, it's what's happening now.
Absolutely.
It is happening now every day. So the people that die on the hill of, I don't wanna have to do a call in Catskill, I hear you and I sympathize with you, but it's happening right now. It's just another way to, you know, quote unquote standardize it. Everybody gets the same amount of money for the standby. You get a call while you're on standby, you bill the patient, you recoup all. You know, that's what we hear at the council level of, that's the resistance to moving for mutual aid is, you know, if I've got to move 5 times a day, it's wear and tear on my ambulance, and they're absolutely correct. So, you know, if like Sean is saying, the agency next to me doesn't staff, and I have to move 5 times a day to make up for their problem, I should be compensated for that, and that is how you would do it. Then it's fair, it's even for everybody. Ashland moves, it's $120. Wyndham moves, it's $120.
Who pays the $125? Who pays the money?
The county.
The county.
Out of that budget.
So you know,
That benefits the people that understand though, right? Like just, if you have one town that understaffs and they're actually getting their calls paid for $120 that the county's paying for.
Well, no, that's
That's the advantage to
Right now,
understand.
we're doing it for free.
right now, yeah, today you do it for nothing.
right now, if Greenville doesn't call them Coxsackie, or Coxsackie doesn't call them Greenville,
Well, then what's the incentive for the town to staff up, if the county's gonna pay the bill all the time?
Nothing.
because what happened in Columbia County is that the agencies realized, well, I can make money by doing standby, so Copic got 2 crews, Felicia got 2 crews, NDP has 2 crews, Freeport has 5 crews. They didn't all have that 10 years ago. I was at Copic when the CC system was developed. And about a year later, we realized that Livingston wasn't staffed, and we were out there an awful lot and funded a second crew. So the town of Copic got 2 ambulances. It gave the agency the money to hire, is basically what it comes back to. You don't have to do it. We don't have to do anything.
No, it's an interesting proposal.
It's an idea, you know, because currently, everybody's doing it for free. They're doing mutual aid for free. And it's causing a grip.
It's unfair.
It's just one, if the consolidation ball's not gonna roll, I'd hate to see it go backwards into, well, this is my town, I'm not leaving my town. And that's great till someone dies, which is the sad reality of the situation.
Why wouldn't the town that's calling for the mutual aid have to foot the bill?
That was my point, on my last
Right,
point
that's
on the
what I
page.
understand, if,
You'd have to talk to Columbia County to get it.
No, my thought was the aid agencies would have to have an intermunicipal agreement. So that if I bail you out,
okay,
you gotta pay me.
tell me I pay yes.
Yeah, but that's what he's saying, is that then it's incumbent on the agency that's doing the standby to send that bill then to the other town and have to get that reimbursement from the town, rather
Right,
than,
even the town, not the county.
well, rather than everybody doing it out of a county fund.
Yeah, 911 is the one that tells people where to go.
Right.
It's not based on, you know, so Catskill runs out of ambulances. We move Carroll down the line, or you move Carroll into Catskill. That's what ultimately happened, is that there were enough standbys happening, that Carroll put 2 crews on. So then there was enough ambulances in the county for them to move an ambulance to Catskill proper. So Catskill had an ambulance within its own district, but Carroll was still covering their town. That's what ultimately happened, but 911 moves the ambulances.
Right.
It's not up to,
Not the town.
you know, we do it now, we move the cars, it's not that part of the concept, but I just would hate to see the ball roll all the way backwards.
I agree.
The other point I wanna bring up, and it's not at all connected, is if we're gonna go down the route of throwing money at the agency, are the agencies open to an Explorer program?
I'm sorry, explain that.
An Explorer program is like, what's the?
We got one.
Yeah,
have one in Coxsackie.
so it's like you're 16, 17, 18, 19, you know, you're not sure if you wanna do it, you're an Explorer, and then you decide it's for you, then they could sign on to the county scholarship, get paid to go to EMT school, then work at that agency. The reason I bring it up is, you know, my staff of 40, I'd say probably, 12, 15 of them started as explorers at Greenville, Coxsackie, Wyndham, wherever. Just spitballing.
We'd be open to it. We're kind of doing it unofficially, you know, now, but I didn't know that there was a formal term for it, but we'd absolutely do it.
Yeah, Cooksacky's had it for quite a few years.
So I can speak to it, I'm one of the advisors in Coxsackie. We got away from the term explorer because you had to be under the Boy Scouts per day, and there was a whole lot of other things that went along with that. So
Welcome to New York.
the town
It's a scouting
actually supports us through the program, and I mean, I know Shane was an explorer many years ago and is now a paramedic, so it's definitely something that's beneficial. It gets these kids in and they figure out, hey, is this something I really wanna do? And then they tell their friends and they're like, hey, is this something I really wanna do? And the next thing you know, I mean, at one point, we had so many juniors in Coxsackie, we were trying to figure out where to stick them. It's a wonderful program. We drill with them, we teach them to do what we do. They ride with us, they learn the ins and outs of EMS, and I mean, to be honest with you, they learn how to be a productive member of society as well. So, I mean, I'm willing, if the county's willing to look at something like that, I'm willing to give that my all. I really do whatever I can to support that program.
Not everyone's gonna stick, but if you get one in every town or one in every other town, I mean, that's more EMTs.
Yeah, then they're eligible for the other program too.
Yeah, well, started in the EMT, you go right up. Any other questions?
So when do you think you'll have that number in the next couple of weeks?
Well, I'm about to adopt the budget, I'm down to the final prongs of my budget, this number right now is not in my budget. But I think I can, and again, the numbers were abstract because they were easy math. If that number holds, I'm about a week away from finalizing my budget and then have a review with my board before my public hearing. So that everybody knows before you adopt your budget, what the impact could be to your budget. You gotta know that,
Any help in Pratt's would be appreciated. As far as response to the mountaintop, I gotta say we're pretty well covered up there. The group who's in charge up there with the EMS is doing a heck of a job for us, so. It's just the financial part from Prattsville is the tough egg to crack for us, so. I kind of welcome them.
As far as Greene County EMS, what am I doing? Am I holding off on sending letters to the towns with their amounts, or am I sending them a letter saying the county is definitively taking over your?
I think that's the easy domino to kick over versus the contribution to the 14 towns. So yeah, I can't speak for my board, so it's a concept that I've reviewed with my board, and my board has said, yes, that is.
So in the next week or two, I'm gonna start getting calls from town clerks saying.
I don't know how much.
Yeah. And my other concern here, I don't see anybody here from Catskill.
Huh.
Go ahead.
Hang on,
It's just my opinion, and that's all it is. But as far as like not even working towards consolidation or anything, I guess I'm the only person here as an administrator that thinks about employee retention. Like you can put people through the EMT class, and I'm gonna use Wyndham as an example. So they're gonna come to Wyndham, we have one crew on 24/7, and then where do we put two? So when EMT comes to work for us, where are they gonna go? That was like one of the whole purposes of consolidation was employee retention and things like that, because you can have 5 people come through a class and just as quickly they're gonna move on to something else. And I could sit here and name names that are affected on my roster, on Greene EMS's roster, they're just dropping like flies. They go off someplace else, so this actually does nothing. And I'm not in charge of the financial side of things in the town, but throwing money doesn't really solve the problem either. I mean, you can buy some more stuff, great, but it's not gonna help me retain my employees in Wyndham. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that if one of my employees goes out sick, we have an issue. And, we've lost a couple full timers and it's affected us. And I find it hard to believe that we're the only two people sitting in the room that it affects. Like, everybody can say they have a full roster and that's great, but for how long? Like, I just think this is a long-term solution. And I didn't start this yesterday, I've been doing this for 30 years. So I do have some experience. And I just don't see it.
Well, I don't know how everybody else feels about this, but I think Sean's thought about this a lot.
And this is a way to kind of bridge the gap to go into a countywide system without going broke in the meantime.
Are there strings attached to the money that's gonna be
Yes.
invested in the agencies?
Yes. On number 3. If you're gonna take the money, then you have to work towards centralized purchasing. You have to work towards standardization of equipment, training. All the things that we all, I think intuitively know that there's no common thread here amongst all the agencies. But the town would agree.
Try to get
Okay, then no problem.
So if a town that doesn't have any, I'm getting $100,000 too. Well, what am I gonna be paying for?
Well, he pays for, he has a contract.
Right, so what, he doesn't go to work, it has nothing to do with purchasing or anything. It's done.
Well, no, that's true. The towns that contract.
Any bureaucracy to the towns that run payrolls is. Oh, no, they're already. And,
Well, then don't take the money.
I just think it's ridiculously unfair to give the same amount to everybody regardless of what they're doing it.
Well, did we land on that, or are we still talking arbitrary?
As far as the purchasing, like, there's certain agencies that'll do that together now. The standardization of equipment, supplies, stuff like that, pretty much everybody in the county is using the same stuff currently.
Yeah, we can go to every single agency, and policies are different, expectations are
I'm not
different.
talking about policies, I'm
But
talking
even
about
like,
purchasing
they're not all
equipment.
spend up on the same equipment, they're not even all trained on the same stuff at this point.
Well,
Ones
the
that are not
county
trained
is
on
gonna be
agile, and
still hiring somebody, correct?
Yes, I am still, this proposal would hire an individual on the county payroll that would augment those types of things with the assistance of the agency.
So, the way I see it, I see a sort of easy way, let's say the towns take the money, right? Total to be determined. We're gonna wait for that person to be hired, right? We're gonna wait for that person to be hired because that person is gonna be the person that each of us is gonna have to work with to say. And that person is gonna be charged with, all right, so here's what we're offering, right? If you wanna buy through us, if you wanna buy through this system, right, here is the whole thing, and we're doing our part. Greene County is doing its part. Check, right? We've met our obligation for taking that money. I don't see it as any more complicated than that, really.
No, it's a common procurement system.
Yeah.
But today, all these agencies may be doing that today. I'm not sure they're all talking to each other. 8 agencies talking to each other saying that we're doing that.
Well, there's no buying power, that's for sure.
So that's where you
There-
gain.
There is no buying power.
Yeah, we're not gonna save a nickel off a Band-Aid because we're doing it.
Yeah,
I
right.
understand it.
Right.
It's really the bigger things, the vehicles, the medical equipment in it, maybe drugs, that you might get the purchase power on. But Band-Aids are
Yeah.
So what about the billing?
billing also. Could we develop an RFP for a billing invoicing system where then everybody can join in? And do we increase the efficiency of billing? Do we lower the cost of billing? And does that rate overall money in the system?
What is the essential purpose on your guys' end of group purchasing like that, though? Like, what is the main goal of that? That you're just trying to save money for us, money for the towns, like that's.
It's economies of scale.
Economies of scale. Rather than buying 10 bandages, I'm buying 100 bandages.
Right, but so like, and I'm not gonna speak for any other administrator ordering stuff, but if I order things, I'm ordering very specific for the needs of my station. I don't think that we're gonna sit here and bulk order things the way that you're thinking, where it's really gonna make or break any kind of cost effectiveness. You know what I mean? Like, we're not sitting here hurting over ordering supplies. The hurt is our staff, the hurt is the lack of benefits, lack of PTO, lack of standardization. We're focused kind of like on the wrong thing, because getting the equipment, easiest thing in the world. Getting Band-Aids, solid, we're good on that.
Yeah, but
Keeping people at the station, not paying out for overtime, like, this is all big concerns, but we're not, the group purchasing was kind of left field. That doesn't seem like it's something we really need
That's,
to be worried about.
that to me,
I got-
correct me if I'm wrong, that would help begin the order.
You gotta start somewhere.
Consolidation there.
No, it's not gonna,
If we're gonna consolidate something, if the goal here is to consolidate something, to walk away from this saying, okay, we're gonna group up something. Group purchasing is like the bottom of the
But I'm
list.
just saying, if you
I
start.
agree, there's,
Like, we have to do something that's gonna actually make a difference, because the group purchasing is not gonna. So if we're gonna walk away and say, okay, we need to do something to consolidate, and agree on consolidating even the tiny thing, that's not gonna be it, because that's not gonna do anything.
we're not gonna balance a budget by band-aids, I get it.
No, for sure, but if we're
But
gonna walk away and do
training-
something else has to be done that's actually gonna make a difference when we leave this room and say, this is what the plan is. Because walking out and saying group purchasing is gonna be the starting point, fixes absolutely nothing for any of us, for any of our agencies.
Starts to get you to
But
cooperate.
I get 8 agencies talking to each other through a common denominator that the county hires. It does create that we don't have today.
I don't mean this as like a diss to Sean, but we have an EMS coordinator or liaison, and we are still struggling to try to get on the same page and kumbaya. So as much as I think, yeah, okay, executive director sounds great to put the whole new concept together. It's not gonna fix where everybody's still trying to do their own thing, like we have to agree where we need to consolidate, and I don't think even like as the agencies, we really sat and agreed and said, this is what the actual problem is. Fitch said this, you guys have your opinion, you know, the town supervisors have their opinions on what the problems are. Like, for us to walk out of here and say, okay, something's gonna be done and fixed. The group purchasing isn't gonna do anything, and I understand it being like a study, like a starting point, it has to start somewhere. But it's not gonna fix anything, we're literally gonna walk out of this room and everyone's gonna leave feeling like, again, we've wasted a year, 18 months trying to do this and talk about this with no solution, not even a smidge of one. And group purchasing, I'm sorry, it's not gonna do anything other than, ta-da, we did this.
It's funny because you just mentioned the key word twice, opinion.
Yeah.
That's what too many in this room
Lots of hands in the pot.
are moving by, their opinion. They don't slow down to listen and even consider someone else's opinion. So, you know, that's kind of why we're where we are.
You know what's funny?
In the conversation of reimbursement to communities, there's 2 agencies, I happen to be one of them, that work with Mark's agency for paramedics. There should be a formula for reimbursement for towns that have a paramedic ambulance that help with the overall system within the county. If we're gonna help reimburse the system, keep it afloat, while we're still studying consolidation.
You're referring to the last bullet on number 3?
Just in general, because we in Winchester spend a lot for paramedics and we assist in backup calls. Tuesday and Wednesday, we were on standby for the mountaintop for EMS, so that's why we're here. We're all partners in this. And we're gonna give each town $100,000 for ambulance service. There's 2 agencies that spend quite a bit more because they provide a higher level for the residents of Greene County.
Okay. First, I'd like to, I think it's great that everybody put so much time into this and it's, you know, disappointing to me, but I think it shows effort by everybody to show up and it's a lot, and I just like to thank everybody. But, one of the big problems here is that, and I don't mean this the way it's gonna sound, it's gonna sound terrible, but
Here goes Daryl.
I love it. I love it.
a lot of people like in the legislative body, a lot of people that are legislators really never lived what it is to deal with the ambulance problem. I had 15, 16 years of being on the town board and dealing with how you come up with a budget for the ambulance system, how you have to deal with employees, how you have to retain employees. I did it, on the outside looking in, it seems pretty much benign, but it's not. It's a lot of work, things change every day, every year. You have to massage it. I mean, we've had people walking out, we've had to have them come back in, and it's a lot, and I think that there is a loss. If you don't live it, you don't know I mean, like the employees, they live it. And I feel that's probably the biggest disconnect going, is if you never really had to deal with it, it's easy to sit here and say, I don't wanna participate, I'm not in it, it's easier to throw money at it. And that's the only thing I can say. And it's too bad, because I think we had a good thing going, and I know it would've worked. And it's just disappointing, because we could have been the shining star for everyone else to follow, as far as the state or anywhere else. It's just too bad.
Well, we weren't reinventing the wheel. This is done everywhere down south. We weren't looking to reinvent the wheel, regardless of what the opinion was. It does work effectively, very effectively in southern states.
So how do we walk away tonight accomplishing something,
I'm with you.
anything, just a little smidge of something?
Can I ask a question? Kind of the elephant in the room. Is there anything that the county legislators can do to reduce the burden on the entire EMS system with the prisons? Because let's just face it, when Saki goes to the prison, Greenville has to backfill for Saki, Durham has to backfill for yesterday, for example, one crew in Saki went to take care of original patient number 1. And it required another ambulance to be alongside of the hazmat team for the hazmat. Is there any conversation that our legislatures can have?
I'm gonna ask Tom to plug his ears for a minute. But other than that, no, and other than that, it's a state-run agency. We have no effect on them, but we can write a letter. We can write a letter to the governor, we can write it to Teg, we can write it to Hinchy. Hell, we could go up the chain to Congress.
Well, NISAC and Association of Towns can be a lobbying as well.
You know, is it going to work? From my past experiences with that, where the prisons are concerned and docks, it absolutely does not. It's actually the only press conference that I ever called was against docks, because they wouldn't let public health into the prisons during COVID. It's a very tough situation, that they force, another situation that they force down the throats of the counties that they reside in, are stuck with that burden, and we have 2 of them.
It's just getting to be insane, you know? I don't think that Saki can stay without going to both prisons at least once. And if we don't go to both prisons at least once, that's a very abnormal thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just ridiculous.
So where do we go to feel like something is accomplished,
My man.
tonight?
What would the prisons do if we decided we're not gonna go there, period?
The agency doesn't have an option to not show up in their district.
Oh,
Why not?
happened down in Hudson Valley, there's an agency that could no longer sustain call volume or the economic loss, because you're not getting what the call costs for you to do. And they notified the prison they were not going anymore. That forced the other surrounding agencies to step in, and those surrounding agencies lasted about 2 weeks. And then they said, we can't do this. And I don't ever know what the resolution was. Steve, do you ever hear what resolution of that was?
There's still, in fact, a month ago, Report drove down there and responded. They're driving the incarcerated individuals across the street and calling 911 from the Cumberland Farms.
There you go. That's our state government doing that for local agencies.
So that's a conversation, a letter that, yes, we can send, to try and get a response out of them. Chris Tagg, Michelle Hinchy, they're both.
Ever had a conversation?
I have, I've gotten twice over the past 10 years, raises, we're still not half the price.
Yeah, it's only, what was
It's
it,
a fraction, it's a third price.
$150 a call or something like that, some.
We drafted a resolution a few years back asking for a higher
We did.
reimbursement rate from the state.
Sean, it got so bad at Kentucky Correctional back last year, correctional Steve, 2 years ago, that it would take 20, 30, 40, 45 minutes to get in to the prison.
To get the gate open.
There was one particular incident where the medic got dispatched with Kosaki, went to the front gate, told him to go to the back gate. Front gate, back gate, cardiac arrest. 1 hour. They finally got to the patient, the medic went in, looked up, looked, said, all set. And the staff was like, what do you mean all set? The medic said, what do you want me to do? He's been dead for an hour. Now, you know, if that doesn't
Yeah.
cause them to do any type of action, then I don't think Mike will. But we created a policy that said that we were only gonna wait 15 minutes. And then we were pulling the truck out to be available for the community. And that truck then got dispatched to something in the village of Kozaki, then it went. And when the patient was available at Kozaki Correctional, we dispatched the next truck. If there was one available.
Back in the line.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if we're gonna fix the prison issue, that's been an ongoing issue for years, but I know I left and came back briefly. But as Alyssa said, do we have any direction, end goal? I mean, when I left, it was kind of, we're all gonna subsidize, and then I came back, we were kind of still talking about the same thing.
From my board, on the legislature, we don't have a consensus that, is gonna say go countywide service, based on the expense that we have right now. Any other legislators that are here, please feel free to chime in if you'd like.
Money's not there.
It's not there. Could I get to a vote that passes? Yep, but then I'm gonna also have half the county that's gonna be pissed because you forced something down their throat. And that's not my type of leadership, so we're not doing that.
The majority of this room is still in agreement that we need to keep moving forward. Even though the pace is being slowed up.
Oh, we can't, for years on end.
Yeah, we can't, like, this can't be a 20-year.
Nobody's saying it's gonna be years on end.
Well, as long as
Ultimately,
we're
the
also on the same
standardization, yeah, small step with the end result of a countywide service, but you're not gonna cut off your nose to spite your face.
Sit in my
Who
own
knows what goes?
and see every day.
Listen, Rick, I mean, your office, our office,
Still
it's
coming
the
in.
same federal government that's cutting the spending, and the state is running in a deficit and pushing more and more on the county level. So what do you do? Trickle it down to the towns? We're trying to give you the money to offset what expenditures you have now, so we're not all gonna go broke sitting in the, you know.
Better for us, is a good bureaucracy, we don't have a bureaucracy. I got me, I got chief of ambulance, and I've got the, my bookie, and we spend, the chief of ambulance, that's her own job. Bookkeeper, I spend an inordinate amount of time dealing with personnel issues, payroll issues, all kinds of stuff. And we, county, it's a job.
So,
Come on.
is this to quell the money side of it, or
Don't want to.
are we trying to improve the EMS system?
Yes,
Yes, so
So if there an option that we can do that does both of those things, cause I somewhat agree with the list on the part of the consolidated spending or consolidated purchasing is not gonna save as much as what you think, and hiring someone to run that and a few other things, probably gonna be more cost prohibitive by just the salary of the person than what you're actually gonna save. I understand the consolidation, some of that stuff can be done without, it can be done through other means. I mean, we've done consolidated purchases before. 12 years ago, 15 years ago now, we bought all the shit, almost everyone grouped in to buy the power stretchers back in the day. So that way we could get a better discount. I know recently, I think Casco and Greene EMS went in on IV pumps or something, I believe. So there's purchases, consolidated purchases that are happening to save money.
good.
So I don't think you're gonna really save anything else of that.
Look, if you thought this system was going to save money, you were thinking, from the beginning, you were thinking wrong.
save money, period. I wanna know if
This was not the thought.
Well,
We
that's
knew this was gonna cost more money.
That's what I'm asking is we're discussing now
more on the pendulum side of saving money or better EMS? Cause
It's never been about saving money.
Yeah.
We've always talked about higher pay, more people. It's never been about saving money. It's never, I don't think it's ever been about the cost.
Let's not focus on purchasing anymore, that's not even this much.
Squash,
Yeah.
Sean, we're
Squash,
done,
done.
done, out the way.
The big, look, the issue is the cost to consolidate in a fell swoop
right,
is staggering, and I'm gonna insult all the town people here. I hope my contract is still valid. You're asking us for our budgets to go up. I didn't really see a lot of appreciation for that. Your budgets are gonna go down. You asked the county to do a lot to consolidate the system.
We're looking at close to
And-
$4 million that we're gonna spend.
So. Yes, it's about money. Do we understand the system is teetering on failure? Absolutely. But to have a 25% tax increase.
Come on, Patty.
In this climate, with
Nope.
Give it to me.
Those kinds of things, that's, the politicians don't always have.
David?
So,
No politician.
I thought the last time we met, it was taking Greene EMS and moving that over to the county. And then moving on after that, so it wasn't such a cost all at one time, like.
We could definitely still do that, but I don't need the 40 people in this room to make that call,
No, I would ask because I thought,
right?
the way we're talking, like it's gonna be this absorbed amount of money to do everything all at once, and I thought, okay, we're gonna, start getting everybody, with the municipal system and, those agencies that weren't in the municipal system, we were gonna get them there.
That was the thought.
Kind of go that direction, but is that, that's so.
it's not out the window. It's not.
Oh, just giving the town.
I think when that all came up at the legislative meeting that night,
Yeah.
it was just, I think Sean Mahoney did is suggested like, maybe we'll do a study. None of us are in crisis mode, like,
I don't think anybody's technically in
So, I mean-
crisis mode, I was just actually gonna make more sense to start with you guys.
well, that's not up to me, but that's not up to me.
the other problem with that is.
Being honest.
The Valley then will complain that their taxpayers are paying for subsidized just. That argument happens.
Well,
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just
everybody's
saying
just
that
gonna have to
argument
kind of take it with a grain of salt, because not everybody's gonna get what they want all at the same time, if at all.
You know, doing municipal budget myself in the village, if this is piecemealed over several years, I think in the long run, it's gonna cost more money than what the budget is right now, they're projecting.
Like?
So, it's painful, but it's gonna be painful no matter what. But the question is, the legislature and the towns, they have a responsibility to provide this service. And without a hospital in this county, damn big commitment that you make. And I think we're playing with people's lives here to a degree. We know the system is, I don't want to say broken, but it's not where it should be. And I don't think we're making the right decisions to get to where we need to be as fast as we should. And I understand the economics, I do it myself, so.
I think the one thing that, it's rare that you can get all EMS providers to agree on one thing. I think one thing that we can all agree on is we drop our staffing, or not, well, our staffing, but also our amount of ambulances that we have at any given time, which has been a thing that we've talked about many times in this forum. So what if, like what Davey said, if you do move EMS over into the county umbrella, and then throw on an ambulance or two, slowly roll it out. So that way, if then back there causes less movement, so you're not pulling Hunter off the mountaintop every time Catskill and Carroll go out at the same time. They're not moving down valley. You then have a unit that kind of can backfill towns. Mountaintop town, you have two of them go out there, it moves up the mountain.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let's say we put Greene EMS under the auspices of the county. Greene EMS today doesn't bill. Right? Who gets the revenue from that medic on the ambulance?
Yeah.
The towns.
Right.
if Greene EMS comes under the county auspices and it gets billed, you know where your revenue is gonna go? To the county.
Well, would you then, you could bill it separately, as if the medic rides on an ambulance, they could bill on behalf, just like it always has been. If the county's ambulance, if you do that, if they backfill a call, they bill on their own behalf, and then you would collect that billing, where you would the other billing how it always has been.
Could be.
An easy,
But the-
well, I don't think we need to go here, cause it's like, kinda like an easy thing to figure out.
I think we're all right. I think we're good.
That haven't been had, and I feel like we as the EMS provider, all of them that I've talked to, keep saying, feel like we're not getting heard on most things. We have a lot, we know more how to fix this system than you guys know, because we're gonna.
I don't disagree with that. The problem becomes the cost.
Well, right, but we're not even getting, for the most part, we're not even having a discussion of, hey, why don't we try to look at the prices on X plan, Y plan, Z plan, and see what might work, and then you guys bring it back to the cost side of things, and you hammer it out.
But haven't you been fighting this the whole time? You sit in the back every meeting and say how you don't want.
No, I haven't said that.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yes, you did. Oh, yeah, you did. You heard about how it never worked.
Sounds like, it sounds like everyone hasn't been actually listening to what I said, because I had an issue, but there was a lot of issues with how it was gonna be rolled out, and it wasn't going to work. Once it got slowed down, I thanked all the towns for presenting that, because that was actually an option that might work, because it was slowed down. You're not gonna be able to do this.
Oh, I still think it's slowed down.
Pat, right here a couple weeks ago, where you said this is more of a thing that 5 years down the road, we can end, or 3 years down the road, we can end up at the end goal. And that's what you said you've been presenting the whole time, but that's not what was presented.
3 years.
Well, that is what the towns.
Didn't come from me.
Alright.
No legislators? How do you go? Is that blood coming from you?
Not me. He's bullying me.
Yeah.
Well, look at it this way. If you do give each one of the towns $100,000.
Yeah, tell you.
I got buddy, you got buddy.
And then you increase it
I have my contacts.
each year a little bit. At the end of 3 years, the county could be running the ambulance system and that'd be the end of it.
What could be?
You wouldn't have to worry, you do it a little bit at a time. Take up a little bit this year, take up a little bit next year. Next thing you know, it's done.
I think that's easy math, but what we haven't seen is what the state's gonna do to us on every
Well,
other
the state is
function,
a pain.
with every other function that we do in county government. They just cut heat, they just cut SNAP, they just cut Medicaid.
They didn't take the requirements away.
No, the requirement.
Requirements are still there. We're still their pay.
It's another unfunded mandate.
Absolutely.
Is this the last meeting?
These are all considerations. As far as I'm concerned, I think this can be the last meeting, only because the plan right now is to hire somebody to put on this project. To get the group together, to figure out the purchasing that we can do. Maybe it's to add in visits to the schools, to push the Explorer program. Maybe it's to go into the schools and push the EMT program, the paramedic program, the grants that are available. But get somebody on board to start that and get all the agencies together on the same page, but then the discussion with Greene EMS will have to take place.
I still think, and I think most people think that, having somebody that is running this problem 24/7 is a good thing.
And Tim,
Yep. Absolutely.
in lieu of, oh, yes, yeah, I agree.
What are they running? I'm sorry, what are they running 24 hours a day?
Well, trying to move the ball down the field to getting into to a consolidated area. That's how I interpret it.
So is the end goal still the whole one consolidated system?
Eventually.
I would hope so.
Where we got for our executive director for this though? Can we try to keep it like outside of here? Like, I think an unbiased viewpoint, an unbiased, I don't have my hands in the pot type of director would be nice. And would do this well. There's too many hands in the pot. We've got a lot of history in this county, a lot of relationships and backgrounds, and I don't think it's ever gonna be a conversation where it's very clear and productive, because there's too much at stake and too much emotion. Somebody to come in here and look at the whole thing and not really have any stake in it.
It'll be a job description that goes out for an available position. So it could be somebody from within Greene County, it could be somebody from another state.
That's fair, but I'm just saying we might be better off not having somebody that is in the county.
Well, that would come through the interview process and.
You guys shouldn't discriminate against it, yeah.
Discriminate against the county.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, last call.
To be based off qualification.
All right, let's not make this a practice very.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you very much.